Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Maddie if you're new here, and today's video is going to be me reading as many books on my physical TBR as possible before I move to Europe. My husband Sam and I are moving to Amsterdam in April, and I got a lot of books I haven't read yet. So my husband Sam and I have been talking about this move for a few years now, and it actually only became possible within the last year, and he's been working for it in the last year. And then last month we actually found out he got the job that he has been working so hard for. Luck has absolutely nothing to do with this move. He worked his little booty off and made this possible for us. So thank you to my mans for letting us live out our Europe girl dreams. Our Europe girl summer turned into a Europe girl few years. We'll be there for 2 years. So the first thing Sam asked me was, are you bringing all of your books with us to Amsterdam? And at first I was like, mind your business, but he has a good point. We don't need to be taking all of these books with us. However, I will be taking my favorite books. I will be taking series that I want to reread before the next book in the series comes out, and I also do want to take books I haven't read yet because I'm such a mood reader and I like to have like a selection of 10 or 20 books to choose from. I like having options. Right now I have too many options. I have over 40 books I haven't read yet, and I need to read some of these. The goal here is to either find a 5-star book that I want to take with me and cannot live without for a few years, or I want to weed out some books that I don't really need to keep in storage. I don't really need to keep here because it's not special to me. I need answers. We're gonna find answers in this video. We're gonna knock some books off my physical TBR. I want my new apartment to be just as cozy and to have all of my favorite books with me if I can't have my friends and family, you know, because my books are my friends. My books are my friends. With that being said, I think I'm going to start with Comfort Zoned by Alison Specka. If you watched my February TBR video, I picked this book because it was a quick read under 300 pages, and I feel like it's a good book to start with because I can fly through it quickly and read a lot of books in this video. Now, it is one of my newer books, and I'm kind of putting off some books I've had for over a year and a half now, but I think I'm gonna start with this one. So I found this author on TikTok. She's an indie author, and let me just read you the synopsis of this book so far. Al has always struggled to feel comfortable in her own skin. When her best friend and roommate announces that she's moving out, Al's initial reaction is panic. For the first time, that is always my initial reaction, Al. For the first time, she's on her own and she must figure out what she wants for herself. When she meets Dean, she's immediately drawn to him. He's older, successful, and seems way out of her league. But still, there is an undeniable connection between them. Can Al take control of her life and get the courage to go after what she wants? Dean appears to have his life together. He's the owner of a successful restaurant in Chicago and could date any woman he wants. Although charming, he's a cynic at heart and detests the idea of a committed relationship. But when he meets Al, he just can't seem to stay away from her. Can he face his past demons and fight for something real for the first time in his life? That sounds good! Hey guys, I did just want to update you on what I've been reading for this video. I did end up picking up Comfort Zone by Alison Specka, and I am on page 150. So far I am liking it. It's easy to read, it's a mindless read, lighthearted, sweet. I really haven't gotten to where the characters are together yet, but it is leading up to it. And so far I really like the main character. She's kind of like a shy, socially awkward girl, and I feel like I can relate to that because I prefer to be at home. I'm kind of an introvert. I do like the male main character as well. I'm excited to keep reading it. It's nothing super complex or really deep, but sometimes you just want like a mindless, fluffy read, and that's definitely this. So I'll keep you guys updated when I finish it. I feel like I can finish it tonight. Oh, and I definitely have very strong emotions about this book because Al's original roommate, Jess, is so annoying and so rude to her. It makes me feel bad for her since Al, the main character, is so shy. She like doesn't really stand up for herself when Jess is being mean to her, and I'm like, no girl, tell that girl to leave you alone. It makes me mad. So I definitely feel for Al, and I hope things quickly turn around for her. And also I do love the found family aspect in this, since Al moves out from her own apartment and moves into like a house with essentially strangers, but it's so good to see her make friends of her own, and I'm excited to keep reading. Okay guys, so it's been 2 days since I finished Comfort Zone. Wait, no, I finished it yesterday. No, I finished this yesterday. It only took me a few days to read it, and overall I would rate this about 3 stars. Honestly, maybe like 2.75. It was a great book. I would recommend it to anyone, especially like your mom or grandma or something, because it was low spice, you know, nothing crazy. So I liked the writing, I liked the story. I wasn't obsessed with this book because it felt a little too real. Like in my earlier clip, I talked about how I related to the main character a little too much, and I don't necessarily like that in the book. I like to relate to a few things, but I want the book to be a little bit unrealistic, okay? I want to escape, and this was just too real. I need something a little more. I need a little more substance, more depth, and this was just a cute, sweet story. Nothing swoon-worthy, nothing I'm gonna talk about for the rest of my life. Just a good book, okay? And that's fine, but I'm looking for an amazing book. However, I still am going to be keeping this book because the author signed it, and that's really cool. I don't know if I'm gonna be bringing it with me or not, but hey, another book to check off my list. The next book I decided to pick up, Sam actually picked out for me, and I'm so glad he did because this was actually on my February TBR, so it's perfect. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I started this yesterday and I'm already 100 pages into it. It takes a while to read because the author is so smart. Like, I'm having to look up words and events that happened in history and stuff like that to really understand this book, but that's great because I'm learning, and the writing is so beautiful. I can see why this is not for some people because first, it's literary fiction and the writing is just so insanely beautiful. If you're someone who just wants to fly through a book, this is probably not for you because you really have to let it sit with you to understand it and reread a few sentences. And I personally, I don't want that all the time, but I do love it in this case because I was a communications major in college. I was in classical rhetoric classes. I was in writing classes. I loved reading and writing. I was the only person I knew that loved writing 20-page papers about analyzing books. So to me, this is very beautiful. She is very gorgeous to me, and I think I'm gonna really like this book. I feel like this book is going to wreck me. Somehow I just know that this is going to make me sob my eyes out, and I'm not ready for it, but I am loving the journey. So I will let you guys know when I'm about halfway or when I start crying my eyes out. Much love. Guys, so that clip earlier was me reading Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I got to a super sad, absolutely heartbreaking part, and I still haven't recovered from it. I was simply crying so hard I couldn't see straight. The tears were making my eyesight blurry, and I had to put the book down for a few hours. I woke up this morning and I was like, I'll just read it until Sam gets up, and then he didn't wake up for a while, and I finished a good portion of the book, and I was not expecting that to happen. Clearly, your girl had not even drawn her eyebrows on. Like, that came out of nowhere, and I'm so scared for what the rest of this book will hold because that ripped my heart in two, okay? But I do love books that make you feel something, and I haven't updated you guys that much on my thoughts on this book, but it's honestly because I've been loving it so much. I haven't been wanting to pick up the camera. I've just been wanting to read it because it is a thick book, and like I said earlier, you have to think while reading it, okay? I've been annotating this book. I don't normally highlight or like write in my books, not my physical books. I love doing that on the Kindle, but I pulled out a highlighter. Your girl was highlighting. There are so many powerful sentences and like so many beautiful quotes that just resonate with me, and I'm bringing this book with me to Amsterdam. I don't know what took me so long to read this book, but it is currently 6 p.m. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Fun fact about me, I don't care about football, not in like a quirky way, But I feel like that's not quirky. I feel like most girls will pretend to like sports to impress a man, and I simply won't be doing that. I don't care. The TV will not be turned on tonight. I will be laying in that bed with my Diet Coke on the nightstand there, and we will be getting wrecked. Sam is at someone else's house right now watching the Super Bowl. If he was here, I would turn it on for him, okay? But I don't gotta do that tonight. So we're gonna finish this book, and I will check in with you guys soon. I'm so scared. I just found out why the title of this book is the title of this book, and that scene was sweet and heartfelt. I love when you find out the reason for the title in books if it's not obvious. It's an hour and a half later, and I just finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Wow. These characters felt so real to me. I loved this book. I have to rate it 5 stars. I absolutely have to. And I definitely would recommend this. But it's one of those books where I would only recommend it to a certain person. I've said this before about Beach Read by Emily Henry. I love Beach Read with everything in me. But I think it's too special that I wouldn't share it with just anyone, because I want the right person to appreciate it. And based on my relationship with certain people, I know who I would recommend it to and who I would not recommend it to. And this book is also one of those books, because it is so emotional, and you really have to be an emotional person and in touch with your feelings, I feel like, to really get this book. And you have to really sit with it and think about it. And I just know not everybody wants that from a book. They want to escape, and I'm normally one of those people. But this was beautiful. I'm in shock right now. I did cry again. There's one more part that I cried over. I like don't know what to do with my life right now. These characters feel so real to me. So yeah, I'm so glad I read this book. What the heck? I hope my explanation made sense earlier about like recommending it to a certain person. Anyone could enjoy this, but I feel like there are certain people that would enjoy this more than other people, you know? And I really only want to recommend it to someone that's absolutely gonna appreciate it 100%. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Is anybody could love this book because it's a work of art. It's won so many awards and stuff like that, but I don't want someone to just enjoy it. I want them to love it and just relate to it and appreciate it for the masterpiece that it is. And I will say, if the video gaming aspect part scares you because you're not into video games, do not fret, because I have never played a video game in my life and I still love this book and I still understood it. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now and I'm gonna go find another book to read that is probably a little bit lighter. That's for sure. I will update you guys probably tomorrow. Hey guys, so February 15th, I haven't vlogged since Super Bowl Sunday. And that is because of this sweet angel right here. Sam and I got another foster dog on Monday. His name is Jake. He's a 13-year-old golden retriever, so he's a senior dog, and we have just been making sure he's been well adjusted. He's in great shape for being 13 years old. He can walk around on his own. He can jump up on the couch. He eats his food right away. He runs in the yard. He just is kind of anxious right now. Me too, Jake. And every time I would get up at first, he would follow me, and so I didn't want to get up and get the vlog camera or talk much because I wanted him to be settled and not like worry about where I was, since he is a Velcro dog like most golden retrievers. So I didn't pick up the vlog camera or anything, but I have been reading. I have been reading a lot actually, because I've just been sitting here keeping him company, loving on him, and reading my book at the same time. Oh my goodness. Oh, his little chocolate strawberry toy. What you guys didn't see is I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, and I ended up loving it. I've had this book on my physical TBR for a while now. I bought it when I bought all of those other popular BookTok books like Love in Other Words, Red, White, and Royal Blue. Trying to think like in that era, and I just didn't read it for some reason. So going into this, I was like, I think I'm gonna like it, but I didn't expect it to be 5 stars because I read all those books at a different time in my life and I gave those books 5 stars. But if I read those books today, I probably wouldn't give them 5 stars. I did end up giving this one 5 stars. Should it probably be a perfect 5 stars? No, because the big plot point in this book I didn't really care for, and I know other people don't care for it because I was looking at Goodreads reviews, but it was something as readers we all kind of looked past because we were so obsessed with Percy and Sam. So realistically it's probably like a 4.5, but it's the way it made me feel in the moment, and I'll stand by my 5 stars with this book. I'm sure you guys know what the trope is or something like that, but I don't want to spoil it if you don't know. It is a second chance romance and friends to lovers. And you know what? I think I've decided I love second chance romances because they are so much more emotional. I love being in my feels, okay? That's why I really like Happy Place by Emily Henry, since it's a second chance romance. And I love this book as well. Just some notes on my phone I took during this. I love when main characters are obsessed with reading and writing in books. That's why I love so many of Emily Henry's books. And I ended up loving this one because Percy is obsessed with like horror movies and writing her own little stories, and she wants to be a writer, and I love when main characters have like the same interests as me because I eventually would like to be a writer. And like I said earlier, I didn't love like the big plot point in this, but it just shows you how forgiving one of the main characters is and how strong their feelings are for each other, like how much Percy and Sam care about each other. And not only was I obsessed with the story, I actually think I'm obsessed with Carly Fortune because I was reading her bio in the back of the book and she had a few pages where she talked more about this story and how it came to life. It was called Behind the Book in the last few pages of this, and I realized this was her debut novel, and she sat down and wrote this in 2020 after years of like wanting to become a writer but not doing anything about it. She just sat down and she tried and she succeeded. And I followed her on Instagram, and she posts a lot of tips for new writers, and she's just like a really good resource if you are interested in writing a book. I feel like not all authors post like tips and stuff like that, so I'm glad to see that she's helping everybody out, and I will definitely be using those tips in the future. But basically when I finished reading this book, and after reading about Carly, I wanted to write my own book more than ever. And I love when you love a book so much that you want to write your own book and have someone else feel those same emotions. So I don't know if any of that makes sense, but I like Carly as an author. I love the story, and you guys definitely need to check this out. It's such a sweet book. Okay, and then I do want to do one more book for this video to make it 4 books that I finished off of my physical TBR, feeling so accomplished. Oh, by the way, this book is coming to Amsterdam with me because I will be reading this and encouraging everybody I know to read this. So then I was like, I want to switch it up and read Gothicana, which is a dark vampire romance, I believe, and I actually just bought it in the last few weeks. However, funny story, it rained all week here in Atlanta, and I haven't been going in my reading room because I've been sitting with Mr. Jake out here, and I walked in it 2 days ago and I turned on the lights and I noticed a huge brown spot right above my bookshelf in my reading chair. And I called Sam in and he was like, yeah, looks like something is leaking. And I panicked and I didn't want water to come pouring through the ceiling, which it hasn't yet, thankfully. And me and him moved all my library books into our bedroom, and they're just like stacked up on dressers and nightstand tables because I don't have another place to put them because my only bookshelf is in my little second bedroom, our reading room. So when I went to look for Gothicana? I don't know what I said earlier, but I think it's Gothicana. I couldn't find it in all of my stacks. I was looking for a few minutes and I gave up. But instead, I located Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld, and this has been on my TBR for so long. It was one of my first book of the months when I got my subscription for Christmas in 2023, and I need to get this book off my TBR. I need to read it and either fall in love with it or I need to get rid of it because it's been sitting there for too long. She's Lonely. I am 61 pages into it, and the reviews on Goodreads for this book are not good, simply. I also saw Destiny Sidwell DNF this book. I'm kind of scared going into it, but so far I like it. I'm not absolutely obsessed with it and I don't want to keep reading it, but I still pick it up because I want to read. Hey guys, so I don't think I've vlogged for a few days, but I'm back. Also ignore my unmade bed. I'm not even gonna try to pretend like I have it together today because I don't. So I've been reading romantic comedy and I'm starting to see why people DNF it. There's nothing horribly wrong with it, but there's also not a lot right with it. That didn't make sense, but it is very slow. I mean, it's called romantic comedy. I'm assuming that there's going to be a couple by the end of this. I'm assuming the two main characters are going to get together. But at this point, like, I'm 200 pages into the book and they're not even dating. So I don't even know if that's a spoiler. Normally I like slow burns, but it's just like a whole lot of nothing. I feel like there's not even flirting. I finally just got to the point where there's flirting. And also this book takes place during COVID. Well, part of it does. And I don't know if I want to read about that. That feels a little too real. And that's the other thing I was gonna say about this book is that it is kind of slow and like you're not gonna like every part of it because it is kind of in a sense realistic, other than the fact that like a celebrity wants to date a normal person. Well, I guess that happens, but it's too real. And just like I said for Comfort Zone, the first book I read in this video, I want to read like unrealistic, like swoon-worthy love stories, and I want to escape. And this is not letting me escape, that's for sure. I want to finish it for the sake of the video, even though I told myself I wasn't gonna read books I don't like in 2024. Here we are. Maybe I'll end up liking it and giving it 3 stars, but right now I'm not so sure. Hey guys! I did not think I was gonna update you tonight because this book has been boring. I got to part 3 of this book. This book is annoying because it has only 3 chapters, like really long chapters. It's broken up into parts and there aren't chapters within the parts. Sam's over here reading this book like a good little noodle. Anyway, I got to part 3. This book is good. This book got good. If this book had opened with part 3, it would have been killer. If you have this book on your bookshelf, read it. If you don't go out and buy it. But it is worth a read if you already have it. It's giving me like Starstruck vibes, that early Disney 2010 movie. I don't know when that movie came out. It's getting good. It's about to get good. I'm definitely gonna finish this tomorrow. And what are you reading right now, Sam?
Babel.
I've heard people say Babel.
Oh, Babel.
I don't know. I don't know.
Or Babel.
I don't know. I've heard more Babel, but I don't know what the correct way it is.
Like you're babbling, like it's about translations, like babbling.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've just heard both, so I didn't know.
Page 136 of 500.
Yeah. And I only have like 80 pages to go. This book just got really good. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow for the last part of this video. Just realized I'm wearing this David Vlogs sweatshirt. That's a little cringy. Okay guys, I am back. So the last time I vlogged, it was Sunday night, and Monday morning when my alarm went off, I immediately reached for this book and got maybe like 75 pages before I had to start working from home. And then once I got like my morning stuff done, I went and finished the rest of this book. And let me tell you, part 3 of the book, because it was broken into 3 parts or 3 long chapters, part 3 saved this book for me. I will be keeping this book. I'm not going to unhaul it like I do with other books that I don't necessarily care for, because I ended up giving this a 3.5. Realistically, it should be a 3 since the first 2 parts were so incredibly slow. And not even that, just I wasn't necessarily interested in her job path because she was a comedy writer for like an SNL TV show. And I've never really watched SNL except for Pedro Pascal's SNL clips on TikTok. It was interesting because I was learning a lot about it, but there wasn't a whole lot of romance in that first part, and it's called romantic comedy. I thought the romance would come into play earlier than it did. However, it was worth the wait. The third part, like, I was giggling, and I would like reread cute parts over and over again. When I finished the book, I went back to my favorite part and reread it. I loved their declarations of love for each other. I love those moments in romantic comedies and in every book when the character's like, it's you, you're it for me. There was definitely one of those moments in this book. I will say I recommend it if you're willing to wait it out. And sometimes I'm not even willing to wait it out, but it was worth the wait in my opinion. I think I said earlier, like, if you don't own this book, don't go out and buy it. But I don't know. I'm such a sucker. Like, if I end up loving the end of it, it completely changes my view of the book. So I'm a sucker. I guess I would recommend this if you're a patient person. What are my other notes? I did say that I didn't like this because it was too realistic at first, especially because like the pandemic in 2020 was mentioned in this. Not mentioned, it was like a huge part of it, but still the overarching idea of the book, like a pop star falling in love with a regular person, did end up being unrealistic. Even though it can happen in real life, it did feel more unrealistic and swoon-worthy at the end, which I love. It definitely let me escape, and I got to pretend that Noah Brewster was my boyfriend for a minute. Also, I will say it was funny. There were some really funny moments in part 3 that were relatable, I guess, for people in relationships. So the comedy part did come into it. The romance part came into it. It just wasn't the perfect rom-com. I will say this author should have just skipped the first and second part of the book and just wrote a romance novel, which she might have other romance novels out, because her romance novels without all this extra like work stuff would slay. So I'll have to go see what other books Curtis Sinfeld has out right now. And it was like insta-lovey too in part 3, which I don't hate. I actually ended up loving, since the romance was so slow for the first 200 pages. When the two main characters finally met up again and started their relationship, I was glad that it was insta-lovey. Like, let's move this train along. I will say I'm glad I did not DNF this. So that's all for this video. I had so much fun. Here are the 4 books that I read off of my physical TBR. I counted last night. I still have 40 books I haven't read. So there will definitely be a part 2 of this video, and currently it's February 20th, and I think we're moving after the first week of April, so I've got some serious work to do. Overall, this video was a success. I found 2 5-star reads, Every Summer After and Tomorrow Times 3, and then 2 books that were 3 stars. I will be keeping all of these books. I will say I think only the 5-star reads are coming to Amsterdam with me, but now I know I can leave 2 books behind. Let's see out of the other 40 which books we're bringing with me. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe down below, that would really help me out. I'm so close to 500 subscribers. Maybe by the time this video is up, I will have surpassed that number, and let's try to get to 2,000 this year. And there will definitely be apartment shopping vlogs in Amsterdam and so much more content when we actually move there. So please, please, please subscribe. This channel is about to be so much more fun. It's fun now, but it's gonna be more fun. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.